We left off in the 35th chapter in the Gvurus Hashem, in the first column, bottom paragraph. Dabru l'kol adas Yisrael. Hashem says to Moshe, speak to the whole congregation of Yisrael, of Israel. Be'asol chodesh hazeh. What does this mean? On the 10th of the month, they should take the sheep for family to be used for the Korban Pesach, the Paschal lamb, Pirshu Razal. She'adiba be'echad l'chodesh. Actually, he spoke to them at the beginning of the month, Nisan. V'lakicha be'esad l'chodesh. But the purchasing of the sheep or the goat was on the 10th of the month. V'ashchita b'yudal. And the slaughtering of the Korban Pesach was on the 14th. V'dov dafka Pesach Mitzrayim tzivo ala kicha b'yud b'chodesh. That they were obligated to purchase the sheep or the goat on the 10th of the month. This was something which was unique to that one particular Pesach, that sacrifice in Egypt. D'chsiv be'asol chodesh hazer vein Pesach doras mekchu be'asol chodesh. It's that purchase then, but not the Pesach. Paschal for future generations is not purchased. Doesn't have to be purchased on the 10th of the month. And the reason is explained in the Mechilto. Why did the Torah want that the purchase should be 4 days before the slaughtering? God was coming to redeem them. And they had no mitzvahs which they were participating in. They legalosam. So it's not the actual fulfillment of the mitzvah, but it's participating in the mitzvah that they will do. So the purchasing is not the mitzvah. Lakach noslam shtei mitzvos. Therefore he gave them 2 mitzvos. Mitzvahs Pesach, the mitzvah of the Pesach, that's purchasing the Pesach and ultimately sacrificing it. Umitzvah Milah, and the mitzvah of circumcision, because they weren't circumcised in Egypt. She's asku behem, they should engage in it. She golam. So in that merit they will be redeemed. V'omer, v'gam es adom, as it says in the Pasuk, gam es bedam brischo shalachti asirecho. Also with the blood of your covenant, I sent those who were imprisoned. Being in Egypt, Adkan, that's the Mechilto. Pirish, meaning, Yehoyu nigolim bosas abovsin. The redemption came about through signs and through wonders, miracles. Omihu bal chomer gashmi, a roilose. A person who's a physical being and his essence is physical has no relevance to events which are outside of the realm of nature. Supernatural events. He says, who's worthy that God should deal with him out of the context of the natural state, supernatural? A person who's connected to God, as God is removed from physicality, so the person who shares that level of relationship, he's not subject to the limitation of nature. Ashu nivdal min hateva, just as God causes nature, dictates nature, but is not part of nature, identically the person who's removed from nature, from the natural, who cleaves to God, is not limited to nature. Therefore, we gave them 2 mitzvos to participate in, so they should be worthy of redemption, through mitzvos which were godly mitzvos. Therefore, they merit redemption. Now, and what he's saying seems to be difficult. I mean, what about the first 9 plagues? Right? The first 9 makos were all supernatural events. And who did he do them on behalf? On behalf of the Jews. The Egyptians were being punished, and the Jews were being brought to another level of understanding, to see the hand of Hashem, that he totally encompasses all existence. We weren't yet circumcised. We hadn't yet brought the Korban Pesach. So what is it? So I think the understanding is this: the first 9 plagues, as it says, L'man yedu Mitzrayim, the emphasis were the Egyptians. There God was showing them who he was. From Makas Bechoros onward, that was the redemption. Redemption is for us. We have to be worthy of redemption. So to be worthy of redemption, which comes about through supernatural events, osis and movsim, we had to ascend to a spiritual level. We had to be brought to a level that we don't exist within nature. That means we have a special relationship. We cleave to God through circumcision, which is the covenant, and through the Korban Pesach, which is what? Which is terminating our relationship with what? With idolatry, because that was the deity of Egypt. That's why these two mitzvahs had to be given to us before the redemption to lead to redemption. Because we had to be classified as spiritual beings. They were godly mitzvahs. It's not the question why these two. V'dafko, dam pesach, v'dam milah. Specifically, only the blood of the Paschal lamb and the blood of the circumcision. Ki rotza HaKadosh Baruch Hu ligol osi Yisrael mibeinu umos. L'korv me'elav. God wanted to redeem us from between the nations. L'korv me'elav, to bring us close to Him. Lo Yisrael ruyim el zeh. We weren't worthy. Moshe Amru Heimzal. L'kach nosalem shtei mitzvos. Elu. So therefore He gave them these two particular mitzvos. Dam Pesach, Dam Milah. What is that? How this has wrong to this week's parsha. He gave us Dam Pesach, Dam Milah, that we should be worthy of redemption. V'hasora sa'orlo. First, what's Milah? Removal of the foreskin. That's circumcision. Shu pchisus ugnus odom. It's an indication of the deficiency and the detestable state of the human being, that he has the foreskin. That foreskin separates between God and man. Now, the Orach Chaim HaKadosh in this week's parsha, in Parshas Tazria, goes to explain what, and which I discussed, what is the foreskin represent? It's a covering. Adam initially wasn't created with a foreskin. The foreskin was an expression of the ra, of the evil of the Eitz Hadas. So what does the foreskin represent? Evil, spiritual contamination at the most intense level. Therefore, as long as you have that foreskin, you cannot attach yourself to God. There's no basis for a relationship. So that's the reason why there's no pchisus, there's no greater deficiency, and nothing more denigrating and detestable to God than a person who has that. Because what does that represent? It represents everything God didn't want to be in this existence. So this is a badge of honor. This is a badge of disgrace. Therefore, that had to be removed. Once you remove that disgraceful tag from yourself, then you could serve Him. Bevadai, without a question. Is Dam Pesach? What is Dam Pesach? Sha Pesach hu avodoso lo yisborach. Who are we serving? When you kill the deity, you slaughter the deity of Egypt. Who are you serving? It's clear declaration, confirmation. You only serve Him, no one else but Him. Vos ruim li goyel. So when you remove the foreskin, which makes you qualifies you to serve Him, and then you serve Him, then you're worthy and qualified to be redeemed. But to serve Him with this spiritual deficiency and this detestable mark, could you imagine? A person goes, and the person is a sewer dredger, clean sewers, and he wants to serve the king, and he comes in his clothing, and with his shoes that he was in the sewer, and all the waste, the human waste. He's going to serve the king. That's called service. That's called disgraceful. You can't even approach the king, but you're going to serve him. Having the orla, it's worse than that. In the true sense, it's worse than being coated with what? With waste, with human waste. Worse than that. Because what does this represent? This represents the most extreme level of evil. All evil. Evil was only integrated in the human being as a result of eating of Deit Sadas. This is an expression, it manifested itself as a foreskin, which is a separation. She'elu beis mitzvahs hem haschola yosim kol mitzvahs lekarven lo yizborach. These two mitzvahs have greater relevance to begin to make you, to qualify you to serve him. You with tzitzis, how do you serve him? You're doing a mitzvah. But korban is what it's called. Korban brings you close. It's true service. Achash lo yirudim ligoyel. They weren't worthy. I mean, it's interesting. The pasuk we quote, and we say in the Agora, and every bris we say, it's a verse in Yechezkel, Hashem saw us orum the area. Orum means naked, and eri means and debased. We were debased. Orum means we have a relevance to service. And what's the debasement? What's area? Means like desolate. What's desolate? If you're totally detached from God, that is a state of desolation. Spiritually speaking, it's like a spiritual wasteland. That is what? That's the Orla. The Orla is the area. Orum is we have no worthiness. We didn't serve God. But we have another problem. Not only didn't we serve him, we're not even qualified to serve him. Because we have the foreskin. That's the Orla. It's interesting. The first three yields of fruit trees, you're not permitted to eat the fruit. Why? Because it's Orla. It's the same word. The word Orla means it's kept away. It's kept away. But why? It's Orla. Or anything, I mean, non-kosher species, are they called Orla? They're not called Orla, as though you're not permitted to eat, or there's certain things you're not even permitted to benefit from. Is idolatry called Orla? I mean, even though the first three yields, not only you're not permitted to eat it, you're not even permitted to benefit from it. It has to be destroyed, it has to be burnt. So why is it called Orla? So evidently, whatever the Orla is on the human being, the foreskin, that it's a manifestation of the evil that existed within the fruit of the tree of knowledge. It's tov v'ra. That was the ra. Seemingly, that the first three yields are off limits to the Jew. Somehow that relates. That's an expression of the evil, of that same evil. You have to come to the fourth, that it no longer, it's fully, the evil has expended itself, has exhausted itself. On four, what's the fourth year called? It's referred to as Kodesh Hilulim. It's holy, and you sing the praises of God on it. You take the Yerushalayim and you eat it. Kodesh Hilulim, or as the Gemara says, Kodesh Hilulim. It's innately holy, therefore it has to be redeemed. You have to be mechalel it. You have to redeem it onto money. If you don't need it in Yerushalayim. Interesting. It's this week's parsha that if a child is born as a stillborn, the law is they circumcise him, and what do you say? The child is not alive. Nevertheless, the custom is you circumcise him. You circumcise this child, and whatever you bury the foreskin. Now, what is circumcised? So there's a measure. The measure says. Gemara says that a person who's circumcised, Avram Avinu, it's called Brisa Shel Avram, it's the covenant of Avram. He stands at the entrance of Gehenim, and whoever is circumcised, Hashem does not allow that person to go through the gates of Gehenim. Avram Avinu, person who is circumcised. because he has the covenant. What about a person who had relations with a non-Jew, non-Jewish woman? Because he violated his bris kodesh. He violated the holy covenant. They take the foreskin. A malach takes the foreskin of that child who is stillborn, covers the male organ of that person, so when the person comes to Pischo Shel Gehenim, the entrance of Gehenim, Avram Avinu doesn't recognize him as being circumcised. It's not one of his children. It's not one of his descendants. Therefore, he goes straight through the gates of Gehenim into Gehenim. It's called, it's compromised. It's compromising the bris kodesh. So we're saying the foreskin's there, even though the foreskin's not there, but it is. We find that Zimri ben Solu, right? Zimri was killed by Pinchas. He cohabited with a what? With a non-Jew, right? The Midianite princess. He killed him. Now, for cohabiting with a non-Jew, it doesn't carry the death penalty. But if you're a kanoi, if you're a zealot, as Pinchas was, and during the act, the Torah says you have a right to kill him. Of course, it's chil Hashem, but you don't kill a person for chil Hashem. Person, God forbid, does other things which are chil Hashem. Why is this the chil Hashem? Because again, it's evidently, seemingly, from both these things that we're talking about, it's like the Jew has been separated from that, what that represents. From what that represents. And yet, you engage with that. Talking about a person who didn't do tshuva. Who didn't do tshuva. Does tshuva something else. Didn't do tshuva. So how do you identify yourself? As that. If you identify as that, then you know something. The whole idea is there's an integration of the evil. If a non-Jew circumcises himself, it means nothing. An Arab, called the Gemara refers to him as Arvi Mohul, a circumcised Arab, he's the equivalent of not being non-circumcised. In his essence, because circumcision is the only indication that you're minimizing the evil that was part of the person. Klauser reached a level, when Avram Avinu came on the scene, that he was able to separate the evil from his essence. Before that, it was so totally coalesced and integrated in his being, you couldn't extract it. It's like, God forbid, cancer metastasizes. It's finished. It's over. It's not local. It's not localized. So you can't cut it out. It's all over. It's intermingled in every aspect of the person. It's over. That's what the non-Jew is regarding the evil of the Eitz Hadas. Avram Avinu, through his initiative of Kedusha, of believing God, disseminating, espousing God's existence in the world, he spiritualized himself. What did that spiritualization do? It caused a separation or minimization of that evil in terms of its effect on him. So now God said, now you're ready to do the surgery, which represents that. And when you do that, then you're in a position to have control. Now you're a full Baal Bechira. You fully have control over your existence. As Chazal tell us, till Avram was circumcised, there are 5 parts of his body he didn't have control over. His eyes, his ears, and his male organ. Once he was circumcised, he removed that representation of evil. He was in full control. He was fully spiritualized. A non-Jew, they could circumcise themselves from now forever. It's purely cosmetic. But in terms of the spiritual genes of the non-Jew, every gene is actually damaged because it's tainted and absorbed with this evil of the Eitz Hadas. That's the reason. That's the seriousness of cohabiting with the non-Jew. Odesh leforesh, kidam milo l'rachim aleim. The blood of the circumcision caused that God should have mercy upon us. Ki b'milo nemar ki oleh horagnu kol hayom. What is the milo the equivalent of? David Melech says, for you we die every day. How do we die every day? Meaning, how do we die? What is a representation of dying? If a child is born with a foreskin, and you take your newborn son at the age of 8 days and you cut him, what is that? How does the world perceive that? It's called mutilation, right? Within a rational perception of what's happening, it's mutilation. So basically, Hashem, we're willing to die for you. We cut our children. But the child's born uncircumcised. What are you cutting him for? Because you say we have to circumcise him. A person who dies for God, what is he? He's classified as a martyr. He's a kadosh. What is it called? It's called bris kodesh. It's the covenant of holiness. It's interesting. Rashi says, Paro says to Moshe, I will not let you out. Because I see there's a star in the zodiac, which is called Ra, which forebodes death for all the Jews. Therefore, what am I going to let you out for? Just a waste. You're all going to be killed in the desert. So what did Moshe Rabbeinu say? Lama Yom Mitzrayim. At the time of the Chet Egel, God wanted to destroy us. He says, Lama Yom Mitzrayim. But the Egyptians didn't say that's exactly what Paro saw. So the Midrash says Hashem converted the dam, the blood that was meant to be death, to dam milo. Yeshua, when we came to the Yarden, the transfront, he circumcised all the Jews who weren't circumcised during the 39-year period in the desert. They weren't circumcised, 39 years, because it was a question of danger. So therefore, how does the dam milo, the blood of the circumcision, that was the blood of death. One's dying, one is circumcision. So it's very good with this. He's quoting a Medrash. Because it says, that when David says, we die every day for you. When we circumcise, it's the equivalent, that's the level of sacrifice. And because that's the level of sacrifice, what does it evoke? It evokes the greatest level of rachman. To get out of Egypt, it took a tremendous amount of rachman to get out of Egypt. We were idolaters until that moment. Why should God release us? Why should He redeem us? Willing to circumcise Himself, that allows it. What does rachman cause? You shouldn't be in a state of bondage, in a state of oppression. That doesn't. So that brings rachman. But gula is another level. Why do we leave Egypt? To be free? Not to be free. To become God's people. Not to have masters. There was a change of masters. As the Gemara says, before we were Avdei Paro, and then we became Avdei Hashem. We were Paro's slaves to become God's servants. That was the transition. So to have rachman, not to be slaves, that was what the Milah was sufficient. But how do you demonstrate that you're ready to serve? To show that you're ready to serve, that's done through the Korban Pesach. Based on that, now you're worthy of redemption. Because what is the purpose of redemption? To come to Sinai. To come to Sinai to become the Am Hashem. The Targum Yonason ben Uziel says, we say in the Pasuk of Yecheskel, we say in the Agora, we say at every bris, Bedomai Chayi. What is Bedomai? So we say Bedomai Chayi, Bedomai Chayi. Through your bloods you lived, through your bloods you lived. Right? Bedam Milo, Ochus Aloch. Terrific. The Dam Milo caused me to have compassion for you, to have rachman for you. Ubedam Pesach, Efrok Yasoch. Terrific. And through the blood of the Pesach, I will redeem you. So it's not the same. They're not on par. It's not what we call in the two-punch knockout. You need A and B to bring it. No. One is one. One has one effect. The other has a total different effect. Bedam Mila Ochus Aloch. With the blood of Mila, I will have Ochus, that's Rachmanis. Ubedam Pesach Efrok Yasoch. I will redeem you. First you need rachman. After you have rachman, now you have to. Now where are you going? The yigal osam. That's this. That's the understanding of the Mechilta. Because we were Orum the area. Rebbe Lezer Omer, Shetzibu Pesach Mitzrayim Sheikhu Be'eso L'Chodesh. What did he tell us? To take a Pesach Mitzrayim already in the 10th of the month, we should purchase it. And they show you Shtufim B'Avodah Zorah. Hear this? We were totally steeped in paganism, in idolatry. Lekach Omar Mishkul Yetchim Min Avodah Zorah. Remove yourself. By purchasing the sheep, you're removing yourself from idolatry, because what are you taking the sheep for? V'khu lachem tzon shel mitzvah. And take that sheep and use it for a mitzvah. Adkan. Bir zeh. Ki efshar shiyu Yisrael lechelik Hashem b'pam echad. You know, you can't just go, you're this now and now you're that the next moment. You're a pagan, now you're a God-fearing person. You have to actually, what do you have to do? You have to remove yourself. David Melech says, Sur me'ra v'asei tov. Well, I'll do both. Can't straddle both sides of the fence. First, you have to make a decision. Are you still connected to the past, or you're terminating the past? Before you go into the good, you have to terminate the past. Sur me'ra, remove yourself from evil, and now we'll talk about doing good. You have to remove yourself from the idolatry and take that same sheep and how to use it. The mitzvah. By slaughtering it for a korban. Kach tziva leim shichus pesach ze b'asora l'chodesh. Ki alakichi prishas ksas me'avodah zorah. By purchasing for the korban already, the process of extrication has begun. L'kari ve'lakodesh baruch hu. V'akach lizboach osa b'yudalit. V'mor ala prisha. And the final slaughtering that shows the ultimate separation, me'avodah zorah l'gamri. The process starts. First, you got to buy it. Ki kol inyan haPesach mor al avodah shel Hashem yisborach. All aspects of the Korban Pesach shows and demonstrates the service to Hashem. Shu echad k'mo shizbar miyad berosh hachodesh tzivo lahem mishchu. At the very beginning, he already says, purchase it on the 10th of the month. But they had to be informed on the 1st of the month. Ki hachodesh hu muchan l'gula. The month itself is ready. It's a month of redemption. Now, why 10th? Now he says something he said many times in other places. A minyan is 10, right? 10 is a minyan. We speak about everything is 10. Everything goes to 10. The 10 always establishes, it has relevance to Kedusha. Maisa Behema. Right? You count. You ever heard a flock? You count. Through 10, the 10th is naturally Kadosh. It's consecrated. 10 is always removed to Kedusha. Therefore, when do you purchase that? To begin your ascent to Kedusha, it's purchased on the 10th of the month. That's the reason why. It's not the 4. It's not the 4. It happened to be because the 14th wasn't there for its 4 days. But why did he choose the 10th? Because the 10th is Kedusha. That's the day of Kedusha. Now, when you purchase the sheep, what does it say? Celebes avos. You purchase the sheep per household. So somehow there's a connection. It's not the individual, it's the family. The person brings a normal shlomim, peace offering. It's unrelated to family. Right? Pesach is celebes avos. A sheep per household. Okay? Celebes lebayis bimyamait. What happens if the family is not large enough and you're going to have meat left over? Then your 2 families join, others join. Gam dov zeh davka Pesach Mitzrayim shoyin nimnin davko lebeis avos lo Pesach doros. In Mitzrayim we had what? We're speaking about our pedigree. You came from this family, that family. But Pesach doros is no celebes avos. Even first choice. You know, my neighbor, my cousin, my friend, my this, we're all joined together with the Korban Pesach. There's no demand. It must be family. You must be from the same family. This is phenomenal. What do we merit to leave Egypt? Because Hashem made a promise to Avram Avinu. That's chosovos. Without Avram, right? Hashem says He remembered what the bris of Avram, the bris of Yitzchok, the bris of Yaakov. Without that, we wouldn't have moved an inch, and not an iota. So this Pesach is the Beis Avos. It directly identifies with your pedigree, Beis Avos. Because as the pedigree, the lineage, evolved, maybe the Magula. It's only because you're connected to the past. That's why we talk about you have a future. Families evolve from where? From the forefathers. We call them in English antecedents. They're the antecedents of the present families. So everything. What's the whole idea? The Pesach indicates we're unified. We believe in one God, not multiple. It's not polytheism, whatever. There's a unity. They have to unify. Now, why people related? Because we come from the same gene pool, same flesh, brothers. They themselves are what? Are the what? One flesh of the parents. Because both the father and mother contributed to the children. Right? So that's one. What's the way of a korban? We serve one God. Therefore, to show that unity of Hashem, the people who participate were also unified. When do they have to be included? Before the animal is slaughtered. Until the animal is slaughtered, you could join, you could back out. Once it's slaughtered, you're locked into that korban. What's the avoda? The avoda is the slaughtering. So we're demonstrating who we're serving. So that serving is only when the animal is alive, not once it's been killed. It's called exclusive. This korban is unique to these particular people. It's interesting. The Gemara in one location discusses, according to Jewish law, there's a concept known of agency. A person designates an agent. When the agent acts on behalf of the one who designated him, who appointed him, the action of the agent is attributed to the one who appointed him as the agent. It's called shlichus. It says shlich shom kamosa. So one of the sources learned from is from Korban Pesach, because it says v'shochdu also kol kal Yisrael. The whole congregation of Israel will slaughter it. Is it possible? All Jews slaughter one korban? How is it possible? The answer is multiple people could appoint one shaliach. The one agent represents them all. So what does that mean? You have multiples represented in one. It's interesting. What is it? I mean, there are other sources. There are other sources that, we learn from get, that a get can be given through a divorce document, can be given through an agent. What does the Torah have to pick Korban Pesach? Because again, as the Maral is saying, because what is Korban Pesach? It's all the unity. We serve one God. So it's all to reflect that unity. We're unified in terms of our belief. One, everything is echod. So there, but how do you have it? Could you have multiple people slaughtering one animal? The answer is yes. There's a mechanism called shlichus, agency. The one is the equivalent of many. Terrific. He says something else interesting. The law is, the Mishnah says in Zvachim, that if a person slaughters an animal, it's a peace offering, it's a Toda offering, a thanks offering, it's a burnt offering, and the Kohen mistakenly has the wrong thought in mind. He brings this korban for some other korban. It's not valid. What about a sin offering? A sin offering, if the Kohen has the wrong intention, it's not valid. It's a chatos. That's the ultimate atonement korban. Okay? What about Korban Pesach? Mishnah says Pesach is like chatos. If the Kohen brings the Pesach for, let's say, for a burnt offering, it's invalidated. It's invalidated. Similar to the sin offering. If you bring the peace offering, it's not invalidated. The Ola, it's not invalidated. The thanks offering is not invalidated. So why the Pesach? Chatos, you say, it's the most advanced level of the highest degree of consecration. Okay? So if there's any deviation of thought, intent, that invalidates it. But in terms of Pesach, why Pesach? He goes to explain that. You will find something by the Pesach which you will not find by any other korban other than chatos, the sin offering. Any korban which is slaughtered not with the proper intent is slaughtered for another korban, not for the korban that's being brought, is valid. Chutz mi Pesach v'chatos, except for chatos and Pesach. He slaughters the Pesach for a shlomim. It's invalidated. For an olah, for a thanks, it's invalidated. It has to be what it's supposed to be. It has to be what it is, miyuchad. If the Kohen has in mind he's slaughtering it for another korban, posul. It's invalidated. Kimoshu posul, what about a person who doesn't join the group initially? You're not permitted to participate in the korban. You have to be there from the very beginning. Kach posul moshochtul l'shem korban pesach. Shkol dover bepesel tzor sheyeh miyuchad v'lo mishtatif imo. Understand? It's not. We don't want other participations. Dover acher. What is it? What's idolatry? You have multiple powers, deities. What do we call Christianity? It's called shituf. It's a trinity. Is it A, B, or C? Well, there are multiple contributors to what happens. Pesach says no, there's only one God, lahavdil, from all the rest. Nothing else exists other than Him. You have to be there from the beginning. It's one. There's a unity. There's all to emphasize the same point. So Shia said Tomim has to be unblemished. Zocher has to be a male. Ben Shana has to be less than a year old. Mirakvosim Inizan has to be either sheep or goats. Hakol moral inyan ha'achdus. Every one of these things indicate unity. Kodim erev shalaylo. What's bein arbaim? It's what it's slaughtered after midday. That's between post midday and nightfall. V'achar yom she'ovar shekvar koach tosh. When is the hottest part of the day? Right? Sun at high noon. Once you passed high noon, what happens? The sun begins waning, begins setting. Nibshe bein arbaim pirusho acher chatzos. So hayom she'ovar koach tosh ve'erev shalaylo adayin lo yeh. The sun, the day is weakening, but night hasn't yet come. It's this interim period. Now, how does this indicate achdus? Unity. There's no other korban you have to bring after midday before nightfall, during this period. Somehow, this also demonstrates achdus. How? It's something which is wondrous. What is ben arbaim? It means between the evenings. One has left and one hasn't yet come. You can't say the day's over because it's still day. Ficha zazman miyuchad la'atzmo ve'enu shaykh liyom she'ovar v'lo yom habo. Yeah, what's going on? It's not pre-midday. It's not yesterday. It's not today, and it's not tomorrow. It's in between. It doesn't identify now what A now would be. It's unique. It's a time unique unto itself. That time is exclusively for God. There's no other association. It doesn't identify with the previous day. It doesn't identify with the following day. Something that's between two, it has no relevance to either. Obviously, you do them all. These barbasomachosi, so we'll explain this. It's interesting. There's a famous Chassam Sofer sponsor. Person has yahrzeit. So a person who has yahrzeit, it's the anniversary of his death of his father and mother. He has first rights to be the shliach tzibur for the Omud. So he goes. They say, something, but, we prefer to give, you have a right, you have a claim to the Omud. What about a person who doesn't recall that his father passed away on Aleph of the month or Beis of the month? Doesn't recall. So he goes over to the Gabbai, he says, he needs the Omud. He says, why? Because he says, I'm not sure. Either my father passed away on the first of the month, I'm not sure. He says, maybe it's not today, maybe it's tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. Comes the next day. He says, I'd like the Omud. Yesterday, he says, but who said it wasn't yesterday? So if it was yesterday, you have no right today. So he pushes him back and forth. Does the person who oversees the Omud, does he have a right to do to this to the person? He says the person has a right to 2 days of the Omud. Why? Because he has an obligation. He has an obligation, and if factually there's no way to determine which one, he goes to the Omud both days. He says, understand? So it's like, we're in a quandary. It's an irresolvable quandary. After midday, what is after midday? The day's already started. The day is really up to midday. So it's not really today. But is it tomorrow? It's not tomorrow either, because tomorrow is only after nightfall. So what is it? It's neither. It's not today, it's not tomorrow. He says that time, that's Miyuchad Hashem. It has a unique characteristic. Anything which is unique characteristics, like one of a kind, that has relevance to Hashem. So therefore, when do you bring the Pesach, which is to confirm the unity of Hashem? It's during this period of time, which is Bein Arbayim. It's not this morning, it's not tomorrow. It's unique. It's neither. That's the way he's explaining it. You eat the meat this night. Sli eish, broiled by fire. Al matzah rochim yochlu, together with matzah and morah. Yochlu. We said the Pesach indicates the unity of Hashem. Everything indicates unity. Unified. It's what? It's dividing. Every aspect Pesach has to indicate and focus Hashem is one. So no the B'tzis Mitzrayim, Sharei Osa Kodesh Baruch Hu, Im Yisrael Nisim in the flows. Hashem performed with Klal Yisrael Nisim in the flows. B'Mitzrayim Kiritzono. Ve'im Mi Yom Alomin Matase. Right? What was proven to the Egyptians? You have no control over your lives. You can't replicate it. Only God could do this. God is one. That he's one in the celestial level and on the terrestrial level. After Moshe Rabbeinu shared with him in detail what transpired in Mitzrayim, the Nisim and the flows, the wonders and the miracles, what he says is, now I know Ki Godel Hashem Mikol Elohim. God is greater than all powers, all deities. far as l'kamon nezeho yakorm pesach more al achdus yisborach. V'tziv lechol pesach al matzos imrorim. What does Pesach have to be eaten together with matzah and moror? Loros kimiitu echod. Shiavo pulas v'chulokos. I mean, different things happened. Normally they say, you know, you have the God of the earth, you have the God of the heaven, and you have God of this. Here was proven this one being was able to orchestrate everything. So all the Makos showed what? Hashem is echod. There's no area that he doesn't dominate. No. His actions are multiple actions. Fire. Fire is a characteristic. What does it do? It heats. Fire doesn't cool. Fire doesn't make something wet. Fire burns. Depends how close you to the fire. Does it warm? Does it burn? Or does it broil it? Or burn it to a degree? What is the innate nature of water? It cools down. You cool down something with fire. You extinguish something with fire. Terex said, God has limitations. The power has limitations. He's limited to that. He can turn blood into water. What are frogs? Well, frogs have to do with water. What about lice? Well, that's terrestrial. What about atmospheric? What about celestial? There's nothing, no area that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't dominate. He's one, the totality of everything. He says, how could one being do good and evil? Evidently, the two different sources. There's a source for punishment, for evil, and there's a source for goodness. It's two different. God is one in the ultimate sense. And his unity became known to the world. He does things which are contradictory. Right? He is the Redeemer, and he was the one who deemed originally we should be enslaved. As he redeemed us initially, he's the one who enslaved us. Pesach indicates his unity. And what is matzah morah? It's two different things. Matzah is what? Morah is bondage. Morah is freedom. It's contradictory. So you have the one. Pesach represents the one. From the one, multiple things emanate, although they seem to be contradictory. Hamatzah morah al agula, kasher yodua, v'amrorim al shibut, shakol b'kocho shua, mochetz v'arofek. He's the one who smites, and he's the one who heals. Bezos Hashem, Minyan Zen Narich, L'kamon.